"Excuse me, sir, you can't go past this point without an HO vehicle decal," shouted Meredith Holbrook, standing dead center on the gravel road like an overzealous traffic marshal. She had a clipboard in one hand, a Vinny iced coffee in the other, and an expression that said she hadn't lost an argument since 5th grade. Behind her, her Lincoln Navigator was parked diagonally across the only road leading to my ranch, its tires turned outward, doors locked, hazard lights blinking like it was auditioning for a low-budget disaster film. I slowed my truck, rolled down the window, and asked calmly, "Meredith, are you sure you want to do this?" But it was too late. In the distance, the unmistakable rumble of an M1 Abrams tank echoed through the canyon, shaking the mesquite trees and scattering a few startled doves. Her smug expression shifted into something between confusion and full-blown horror. "What is that noise? Are those helicopters?" she screeched. The ground began to vibrate. Meredith Holbrook had lived on the outskirts of our quiet Texas county for all of 3 months, but she had already declared herself the president of a fictional homeowners organization, one she apparently invented. The closest thing we had to an HOA around here was a lazy rattlesnake that liked sunbathing under my porch. Yet Meredith had taken it upon herself to create laminated warning signs, issue color-coded violation tags, and conduct what she called property wellness inspections. That meant peering through binoculars from her porch while sipping overpriced teas and pestering neighbors with unsolicited advice. She fined Jed for having a rooster, ticketed my goats, actual goats, for expressive behavior. And now, she was blocking the only road to my ranch because I didn't have a fictional sticker. That morning had started beautifully. Coffee in hand, cicadas humming, goats playfully chasing each other. Then came the text from Major Collins. "Convoy ETA 60 minutes. Be ready." I had agreed to host a military training exercise on my land, a joint operation involving helicopters, tanks, and personnel carriers. Everything was cleared. No livestock in danger. No nosy neighbors. Except Meredith. I pulled my truck closer to her barricade. "Meredith," I said as gently as possible, "this road is about to become federal property for 24 hours. You don't want to be here when the convoy rolls through." She rolled her eyes so dramatically I thought she might pass out. "This is a residential zone, and I don't see a neighborhood decal. If you wish to appeal your violation, submit a written request to the HOA grievance board." She pointed to herself. "That's me." She spun on her heel and climbed back into her SUV like she'd just won a courtroom drama. I sat there a moment, weighing my options. Calling the sheriff might help, but we were on a tight schedule. Besides, it was technically my road. Her SUV was trespassing. Then I heard it, the low thunder of rotor blades. I grabbed my radio and called into the lead convoy unit. "This is Ranch Point. We've got a civilian obstruction. Do you want me to clear it manually?" "Requesting clearance to proceed," came the response in that cool, matter-of-fact military tone. I looked at Meredith. She had climbed onto the hood of her Navigator and was filming herself with her phone. "I am documenting this illegal harassment," she said to her non-existent audience. "This man is threatening me with an imaginary military convoy. I will not be intimidated." I took a breath. "Proceed," I said. What happened next was a little horrifying and, if I'm honest, a little glorious. First came the Humvees. Meredith dropped her phone. Then came the tank. 68 tons of steel, grace, and thunder. She screamed, tripped on a yucca plant, and fell hard onto her clipboard. The tank did not slow down. It rolled directly over her Navigator, flattening it like a soda can. Tires popped. Glass shattered. The roof folded in like origami. The convoy kept moving. Meredith was on her knees now, red-faced and shrieking. "You'll hear from my attorney. This is a war crime. I know my rights." I got out of my truck and walked over. "You okay?" She glared. "That tank destroyed my property." I nodded. "And you were warned." She looked past me at the convoy, now kicking up dust through her imaginary HOA's sacred domain. "You'll pay for this," she muttered. "I'm sure I will," I said, right after the goats pay their fines. That night, the ranch buzzed with military activity. Floodlights. Tents. Soldiers moving with surgical precision. Her crushed Navigator sat half-buried in the dirt, a monument to poor decision-making. As I drank a beer on the porch, Gandalf the goat, accused of hostile eye contact, lay beside me. Meredith had brought clipboards to a tank fight. And lost. But I knew this wasn't the end. By morning, it was county gossip. Jed claimed he heard her scream from 5 miles away. The sheriff even dropped by to make sure I hadn't declared war on suburbia. I hadn't. The war had come to me. By noon, Meredith had returned to the scene dressed in black like she was attending a funeral for her SUV. She stood over the remains with a tape measure and a legal pad. "I have documented everything," she told me, her voice trembling. "Timestamped footage. Witness statements. I've contacted the County HOA Board of Appeals." "There is no such board," I said. "There will be when I'm done. You parked illegally on private land during a government operation. It was collateral damage. You should have warned me." "I did," I said, pointing to the neon orange notice nailed to the tree at the road entrance. She squinted. "That doesn't count. It's not HOA-approved format." Later that day, I stopped by Bonnie's diner and ran into Rachel, who ran the feed store. "You hear about the fake HOA?" she asked, sliding me a piece of pie. "Fake. Meredith made it up. No charter. No board. She even fined herself once for having a gnome on the lawn. Wrote herself a check. It bounced. Back home, I reviewed security footage. There she was, sneaking up to the signpost weeks ago, tacking up a laminated fake rule like she was in Mission Impossible. That night, she showed up with a megaphone. "This is a cease and desist order from the Heartland Oversight Association." I flipped on the porch light. "Meredith, it's the military. I have emailed the Pentagon." Next morning, a black SUV arrived. Out stepped General Stafford, an old friend. He smiled. "Is it true this Karen, sorry, Meredith, is threatening to sue the Department of Defense?" At least 5 emails. In Comic Sans, she came storming out, waving a folder. "Are you with legal? I have questions about tank accountability." Stafford raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, we'd like to offer a compromise." "A settlement?" "A naming opportunity." "Excuse me. We're commissioning a new Abrams. Drop all complaints, and we'll name it the Meredith. Pink with leopard spots." Horn plays a disapproving sigh. She blinked. "I want final say on the font." "Deal." They never planned to name a real tank after her. It was a PR mock-up, but it bought peace. For 4 days, she launched a full-blown HOA website, violation forms, membership tiers, community compliance digests. Then I got a $75 bill for an unregistered barn, complete with drone photo. Jed got 3 violations in 1 day. "She's recruiting," he told me. Turns out her web designer was my niece, Maddie. She started leaking internal emails. The vision board included HOA-branded golf carts and a lavender farm in Sedona. Maddie sabotaged the site. Dancing goat gifs. Broken fine generators. Then came the community court. Meredith built a stage, rented chairs, and summoned residents. I showed up with Gandalf in a judge's robe. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "This is my legal counsel. Also, you're trespassing." Her face turned colors. Gandalf bleated and pooped on her podium. Court dissolved. Emails leaked. IRS letter arrived. Her fake nonprofit had been collecting real money into a personal trust named after her dog. Her husband, Greg, finally emerged. "She never owned the land," he said. "I did. She just had opinions." "She still does. Bought a drone. Says she'll inspect rooftops for spiritual violations." Weeks later, the tank returned for a public event. Pink. Leopard spotted. Labeled the Meredith. She arrived with a megaphone. "This gathering is under review." A boy yelled, "Hey, it's the tank lady." A clipboard fell. A porta-potty locked her in. For 30 minutes, she emerged windblown and defeated. She wasn't a tyrant anymore. Just a soggy relic. The tank remained. Kids posed beside it. Someone made a sign. "Thanks, Meredith, for showing us what not to do." I sat on my porch with Gandalf. The clipboard now hangs in my barn like a war trophy. She still sends me letters. I never open them. Gandalf usually gets to them first. And every so often, I look down the road, waiting for her gold Subaru. Because Meredith wasn't just a neighbor. She was a phenomenon. And I knew, deep down, she'd be back.